Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of my Wedding Bell series. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make your own invitations using a website called PicMonkey.com. So this is the page that you'll see when you first enter the PicMonkey website. You'll see these icons at the top where it says Edit, Touch Up, Design, and Collage. We're going to hover over the Design option, and this is where you can choose a blank canvas to decide on your design. So I'm going to go with a 5x7 because that's a typical invitation size. Now first off, we have to choose our background. So the very first thing we're going to do is click on this little hatch icon on the very far left down near the bottom. And this is going to show us a lot of different textures that we can use as our backgrounds. So as you can see, there's lots of different things you can choose from. I'm going with a chalkboard look, so I'm just trying out different things to see if I like any of them. Maybe some clouds. A lot of these things could definitely fit lots of different themes. So if none of these are good enough for your invitation, then you can always upload your own texture. So Google whatever texture you want as your background, and you can just upload that and use that. I already have a chalkboard picture that I like, so I'm going to use that, as you can see. So I don't like how light the chalkboard is, so I want to make it a bit darker. In this tab you can see all the different effects that you can choose from, and now I'm in the basic edits tab, so this is where I can adjust the shadows or the contrast of the image that I have going so far. So now I'm going to throw on different effects to see how that changes the color, see if there's anything I like. And for each of these effects, you can always adjust the fade, so you can fade it out if you only want a little bit of the effect, or you can have it up all the way if you want the full-blown effect. I've been using this website for a long time for my photo editing, and I absolutely love it. For anyone who thinks Photoshop is too complicated, just like me, this is a great program. It makes it so simple, and everything is at your fingertips. It's very, very user-friendly, and I highly recommend it for everyone. Plus, most of it is free, except for anything that has a little crown means that you need to have the Pro Edition. You can see better on the fonts which ones have the crowns and which ones don't. So they provide lots of fonts, but you can also access your own fonts that you have in your computer. So if there's particular fonts that you want on your invitation, you can download them from the internet. Just make sure it's from a reputable and safe website, and then they will show up under the Yours category in the text section. So you just double click the text box in order to type what you want inside. As you can see on the right, there's a text options box that comes up where you can choose the color of the font, you can fade it out into the background, you can change the size, and then you can have different blend modes, which I'll get into a little bit later. As you see here, when you right-click any object, that menu pops up, and I click to duplicate text, so I could just quickly duplicate that text and then change what the word said, but all the other settings remain the same. And it makes it really easy to just make, consistent lettering or consistent decorations that you put on everything. This font is called Chalk Hand Lettering. So once you have your lettering figured out, then you can click on the Overlays tab, and it has lots of different little details that you can add as decorations. So just like the text boxes, you can rotate it, make it bigger, change the color. Just like everything else, everything is very customizable. If you want a very specific color, under the color tab, there's always a little dropper tool, so you can always, if you have something else on your invitation that you want to copy the color of and you want the exact same color, you can always use the dropper tool. So as you can see, I'm in the blend modes now, and it does different things to the item that I'm working with. So I flipped between add, which makes everything brighter, and normal. I ended up just going with normal because I liked the way that the color looked on the background the best. So now I'm in the garnishes section, so it's just this nice little leaf that I'm going to place underneath your invited words, and it wraps around just perfectly. So I still think that the background is a little bit too light. I want it a little bit darker, so I'm going to put this chalkboard effect over my own chalkboard effect, and then just lighten it up a little bit. As you can see, it's a little bit too dark near the bottom. So this box over here that says paint, if I click the original button and drag it over the bottom of the invitation, then it will remove the effect of the chalkboard that I just put on, and the effect will only remain on the parts that I didn't go over with the brush. So as you can see, I'm showing you the before and the after, and I like the after a lot better. So for this example, I'm not doing my actual invitation because I don't want to put my specific info out there. So this one is just going to be the back of my invitation, which basically says when the RSVP date is going to be. So it's going to be very simple. But for your actual invitations, you would add information like the place, the time. You might have 2 places on it depending on whether the ceremony and reception are in the same location. And obviously you will have the date on it as well. Another thing that I would add to the invitation is something like, please join us in the celebration of Megan and Peter's wedding. So somewhere on there would have our names on it, so that any guests getting the invitation know what the invitation is actually for. So as you can see, I chose the font first for this one, and then typed in my words just to see what it looked like. I didn't end up liking it, so now I'm changing the font to find the right one for this section of the invitation. So just in case you can't see, this font that I decided on is called Birmingham Elongated. Once again, I'm duplicating the text so that it's the same size and the same font as the one I did previously. It just saves a lot of time. So now I'm just adding the RSVP date that I would like my guests to RSVP by. Typically, you need to give yourself a couple weeks to be able to make follow-up calls and give your final numbers to the caterers. Your caterers can tell you how far in advance they need the final head count, and that will determine when your RSVP date is. But just remember to leave yourself time to follow up with anyone who hasn't RSVP'd, and sometimes that might take a week or so. Now I'm looking for something to go underneath the RSVP date. I just feel like I need more of the mulberry color down there, so I'm trying to find something suitable for that. The reason I'm deciding to do a chalkboard background for my invitations is because I plan on making a lot of chalkboard signs to decorate around the venue, and I'll probably make tutorials about those as well. So I decided to just duplicate that branch decal and put it on top. I really liked how it looked. Now up there you can tell that it looks darker than the one below, so I'm reducing the fade a little bit and adjusting the color so that it looks more similar to the one on the bottom. One thing I recommend doing after you've completed your invitations, before printing them, just see what they look like on different monitors, because I noticed especially that things look a lot different in terms of color on my laptop screen than it does on my desktop screen. So make sure that it looks the way you want it to look on various screens, because it's hard to tell what it will actually look like in person, and you don't want to print all of your invitations out at once and then realize that it didn't look the way that you thought it would. So what I recommend doing is even going to Staples, save a PDF of your file and bring it to Staples and get one sample printed just to see what it looks like. So At this point, I've decided that the back is just too plain. It's too much empty black space. I wanted a little something else to add to it, and since I'm kind of having an enchanted theme / Disney inspired wedding, I decided to add some sparkle in there, so it kind of looks like a night sky and still has the chalkboard effect. And I really liked how it looked once it was all done. And there you have it. So, once you decide you're finished your invitation, you'll want to save it. So once you click on the save icon, there's a spot where you can name your file and choose the quality. So I always save my files in the Sean quality. I'm not sure where these names come from. I could only assume that it's the makers of the website, but Sean is the highest resolution and the largest file size. So when you click the save button, it will ask you where you want to save it. As you can see, I've already done some of these, so I'm just redoing them for the sake of this video. I hope this helped you out. It's a very, very, very awesome program. I highly, highly recommend it. If you have any other questions regarding this program, I'll be happy to try and answer them. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you return for the rest of my Wedding Bells series. And don't forget to click that like button and hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time. Bye!